Hey, and welcome to another episode of the Meaningful Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Chantal Gerardy, and today I'm super excited to have Sarah Niss here with me. Today we're going to be talking about behind the scenes when it comes to developing or creating a sales team or a salesperson in your business. So I'm seriously looking forward to this one today. We have already had her hubby on here before, Greg. So if you go back and look at the previous episode, you'll find that there's one called More Leads Won't Fix Weak Sales. So be sure to check in on that one as well. But now for the woman behind the man. Hey, Sarah, how are you?
I'm good.
Awesome. So Sarah has 18 years experience in international business development as a top performer in sales and is the director of sales LP. And I'm so excited because I've been down the road of first I need to invest in myself as a salesperson because sales was yucky, didn't want to do it, but realized if I get leads without sales, if I can't close them, then that's an issue. So I had to get better at sales. I had to invest in myself. So just like technology, which I hate, something I had to do, I just did it, right? Put on your big girl panties, just do what you need to do to grow a business. And then from there, you get to a time where it's like, okay, I need to get a CRM. I need someone managing the CRM. And then it's like, okay, now I need to get myself out of sales so I can have more consulting time. I've now got to get a salesperson. So I've been on this journey. We've had all these discussions, and I'm so excited today that you get to share your juice and glitter with us.
Thank you. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. I'm excited.
So we also have something else to say. She is a virgin. It is her first podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening in, great. But if you can, jump onto YouTube and check us out as well, because then you'll get to check her breaking her virginity. So as a first-time podcast, which is insane, absolutely insane, because she's going to completely nail this today.
Oh, funny. Yeah, it's funny because I spend so much time in front of clients or behind the scenes of the company. And one of the things that we've talked with you about is we have this unique company position where we've been around for 12 years. We love what we do. We love who we work with. And we've really never done marketing. We've never talked about it. And so I feel like the sky's the limit when we think, where could this go? And to have a special, unique way to deliver that message, because most of the people that we work with don't readily want to say, hey, we're doing sales coaching and training, at making our people better at, closing you and finding what you need and want. So we have to think of interesting ways to get our name out there.
Yeah, it's so true. It's a really weird thing. It's the same as in marketing. People are often nervous to share their marketing company with someone else. It's really weird. Although this morning I did have somebody write an amazing post in a group just saying how amazing it is to work with me. And I was like, how epic. We need more people like that in the world, right?
Yeah. I do think there'll be a vulnerability about being open to what you don't know and what you're learning. And I think we look to work for people like that. They know that sales has value. They know that there's a problem. They just don't know how to fix it. And I think a lot of people struggle with how to fix it.
Yeah, so true. So true. So your sales journey started by your dad, who pimped you out as a child to go and find other children. That sounds terrible. You better tell the story much better than I have.
Well, I never really realized this until we were just chatting before the podcast, but I thought my sales journey started when I was working at a desk and I looked around at who's doing what jobs and thinking, why are we getting paid the same? My output is so much more productive. It's so much more beneficial to the company. And I knew right away, I got to get out of that. It has to be performance-based. So sales was right for me. But you're right. My dad was a TV producer in his heyday in LA. And to save a buck or a lot of bucks, he would ask me and my brother and sister to do voiceover work or hand modeling work or extra work in the back of the TV shows. And I know there's nepotism, but the pitch he made to us was, we could pay these kids in Toys R Us money and they're going to have so much fun, and let's do that. So I would go to school and I had some recipe of what we needed. 3 girls, 4 guys. And I knew it was weird to say, come do voiceover work. Like, who am I? But the benefit to them was free cookie dough in the kitchen. There were Cheetos everywhere. It was unlimited food. So if you're talking go to school and then after school spend 2 hours at a play date where you're in a TV studio, I basically went around, picked my favorite people and said, hey, do you want to come over to my dad's work for a play? We're going to do some voiceover work and there's free food, free candy, and we're going to get $20 in Toys R Us money. And like, it wasn't a hard sell, but I realize now my dad couldn't sell and I could sell.
I'm glad we were able to find that hero story for you today.
It's now going to live on the internet.
Yeah, it's now going to live on the internet. Yeah. Share this with Dad.
This is the first time no one has ever heard that story. My siblings will laugh hearing that. They've never thought about it that way.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the children's objections. Yeah. How did you deal with that?
They're the same, right? An 8-year-old in a grown-up body.
Yeah, 100%. You know, what's in it for me?
Yes.
So good. So we want to talk today about, behind the scenes in sales.
Yes.
Okay, so the first thing is, how do you think a person would determine that they're ready to step out of sales themselves and find a salesperson? So for me, I was just running out of time, right?
Yeah.
I was running out of consulting time. We get lots of clients coming in. I started to lose my follow-up because I just literally couldn't get on the phone, follow up with people, meet them for appointments because I was busy consulting or traveling, and it was becoming a thing. And I was like, okay, something has to change. I probably still delayed it for another year of hell. Should have done it a lot sooner. But at some point I was like, okay, I need to make this decision. So what are some of the signs that it is time for the business owner to get out of sales and to actually get somebody in?
Oh, okay. Great question. It is going to depend on the size of the company.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about a solopreneur in a small business looking to hire their first salesperson, is what it sounds like. Sales fixes everything, right? Revenue coming in fixes everything. So if you're the business owner and you're selling, or you're the founder and you're selling, the timing that you need a salesperson is well before you want to do the work to get them. So if you as the founder are not finding time to make calls and close business, which is the whole fundamentals of your company continuing, you need a salesperson. Now, there are qualifiers. There's a woman I was speaking with, and she's just started the company. She's uncomfortable with sales. She's not yet at $250,000, $300,000 of revenue annually. So to hire a full-time or part-time salesperson could be out of the realm. But once you're a company where you are doing too much, and as the founder, you're ready to manage the business or the logistics, you need to think ahead. It takes at least 2 weeks to put out an ad and find somebody, interview a couple of times, vet them, have a sales assessment, check their background, give them a homework assignment before you hire them to make sure they're capable. And then they're onboarded. And once they're onboarded, if you're a new company, they probably need some teaching and training. That's going to have some ramp up time. So at the moment that you think, oh my gosh, we need a salesperson, it's too late. Yeah.
I say that with marketing as well. It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Everybody waits too late.
Yeah. But you gave us some really good advice about marketing, and that was don't start paying for ads until you know what's working. So if I were talking with a founder who most often they can sell, they're passionate about their company, they're energetic, they're contagious, but they have not thought of what is the process and the reason behind people's purchases. Why are they buying from me? Why not the competitor? And there's no system. So the fallover happens when a founder goes, I'll hire someone who says they can do sales or is excited about learning. They look for personality traits that are different than theirs. And there's an assumption, gregarious, easy to talk with, water off a duck's back if they hear no, and will go in for a handshake. That confidence is presumed to be someone who's good at sales.
Yeah.
And that is not true.
So there's so much here. Okay. Whew. Let's get into this. We might be here all day. So there's a couple of things because, again, it happens with the marketing when you're trying to outsource marketing to someone. So there's two things you said. And firstly, they're the people that just don't like doing it,
Yes.
or just don't want to do it, or just will not put it in their diary to do it because they don't like doing it, or they've got better things to do. That is not the time to get a salesperson.
No.
Okay. And then there's the second person who is ready to get a salesperson, but doesn't have a system, hasn't actually put their process in place, hasn't actually looked at the job role description, hasn't actually fully defined the role or how that's actually going to look in the system, or put a CRM in place or the automations in place to be able to service that person. That is also fundamentally, you're not quite ready yet for the salesperson because you need those things. Like, you need all of that because else you'll bring someone on, just like in the marketing. Now you've got an underutilized person. You've set them up to fail, not to succeed. They're now not going to be making sales. It's not going to be working. They're going to be underutilized and they're not making sales. So now you've got an expense. You've not got an income, right? And guys, I've been down this road, so I know it, right?
And what I would say most commonly happens is when the founder's ready to have a salesperson come in, that's obvious. They're like, okay, how soon, how fast, and how can I not get into a hole where I hire somebody who can't do what they said they could do? But on the flip side, a company that has a small sales team, 3 to 5, 5 to 8, and they're growing, a lot of times they're wanting more from salespeople and they're looking at them going, how do we increase revenue? Well, can we get more out of the people that we're with? Or do we need to hire another person? And there's a lot of data behind that. First, in that we usually overstimulate and put too many expectations on the existing sales team. That is very, very common where they're putting in notes. You're not taking an account metrically of how many hours they're spending on each activity. They're required to go to conferences and events and do new business and account management and client servicing, all the reports. And if the scope is so big, there's a perception of, well, why aren't they just making 10 new business calls a day, 10 before 10? And why aren't they having 3 to 5 client meetings a week or a day, depending on the industry? And if you really look down on their hours, you're probably putting too much on the people that can be selling. And there could be an opportunity to redistribute that, have some account managers, like in-house salespeople, and then allow your new business people to just do new business, find their skills, hone in on their skills. And then if all of that is being done and the time allocation is correct, then you already want to get ahead of the sales projections and recruiting and hiring and training the next person. Because as a business owner, you almost always need to be ready that someone's not fully bought into your company. You need to be ready with some sort of backup that someone internally could grow into that role, or someone's training and someone else isn't going to perform, especially right now, June, July, August. Be prepared for people to leave. People are burned out or they could be done.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's get into this. So I call it the 4 Ps. All right. So before, and I love this because people go, oh, I just need to get another virtual assistant when it comes to marketing, right? We'll just get another VA to do the marketing. And I'm like, well, hold on a sec. Let's actually look at what they're actually doing. So the first one is the P for plan. Do they actually have a plan like of action, or they're just winging it, right? And then the other thing is, do they have a process for that? So actually a system, like the time audit. We do a time audit and actually look at, is their time being utilized efficiently? You're right. And then we look at the performance as well. So actually, do they have the capabilities, or do we actually have to increase the skills that they've got? Looking at the data. So having a look at the data and going, is that actually true? Right? And is the person in the right seat? Is it actually the right person? Because a lot of the time when people hire people and you're hiring a salesperson, they can sell to you.
Oh, yeah.
When I was interviewing salespeople, I'm like, I know what you're doing. You're a salesperson. But just because they can sell to me doesn't mean they're going to be able to sell what it is that I'm actually selling, right?
Yeah. And the reverse works well too. When I'm looking at putting my name behind a company, because I'm a top salesperson, top salespeople will have different conversations when interviewing than entry-level sales. Entry-level salespeople really want the job. They want to make a lot of money. They're excited about the idea of sales. They've heard other people in sales and they're like, oh my gosh, like travel, sales, airplanes, this is going to be great. high performing salespeople are going to ask questions like, what do you see in your business? Why are you winning in this area? And they're going to want to extract what do you know about your company's unique value proposition in order to have a competitive edge? What are the flaws you've seen in salespeople in the past? And I would want you to know that. We've heard it's too expensive. We've heard, there's no urgency in buying. We don't understand the pain point. If you know that, then as a high functioning salesperson, I'm going to go in and go, okay, well, those are all objections. I know I can handle that. No big deal. I'm going to smash this. But if a high performing salesperson's coming in and you as the founder haven't looked at that data, you have no plan, I'll be asking questions like, do you have a CRM? Because I don't want to work in Excel. I don't want to keep documents in Excel. And you'd be surprised how many companies are big and don't have a CRM or an organized way. Because if I'm responsible and compensated for new business, I want to know how quickly I can get the message out, communicate with a client, and close the deal to earn my reward. And every step in that plan or process that is not there, you don't understand the market, we don't have a target, you don't have a plan, we don't understand our value proposition, or you don't have the structures in place for me to succeed, is all going to hold me back from getting what I want and need. So as the business owner, I would be looking for people who are asking questions about how your operation works so that I can succeed. And that's a different playing field than the entry-level person going, well, so, how do you want to grow? And you're like, who cares? Let's talk about how you're going to help me win the on-target earnings you just talked about.
Yeah, so I love this because Greg and Sarah are both, they also recruit for salespeople as well. So, and I recruit for marketing people, right?
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same. When we're interviewing, you have to be able to interview and be able to work out who's going to be the best fit for this job. And I've had some business owners where it's like they just wanted a good-looking person. I've had somebody who just wanted somebody who was like fun and personable. And I'm like, that's great. But we've also got to look at things like their personality profile. We've also got to look at, how they're going to actually fit into the actual job role that you've got, and also complement you as well, right? Not necessarily be like you, but complement you. And I think that that's so important. And that's why it's good to have people like us on those interviews, because business owners just don't know. They're just looking for a quick fix. Most of the time they just want, get me more sales, or marketing, it's get me more leads, and they don't really look at what are the characteristics, the skills, the attributes of that person.
Well, and as the business owner, you could let your own self-limiting beliefs get in the way. So if I'm a tech company owner and I'm slightly more reserved and very logical and practical, I might be put off by a gregarious salesperson and say no. Or if the person is very logical and practical, I might just automatically say yes, because people like who they are like. And you want to be able to remove that bias and think about who they're selling to, and then what is that person going to receive well? And does the person that you're interviewing have the wherewithal to amend their characteristics in a way that allow them to be heard? Not changing who you are and not manipulating, but playing it down, turning up the volume and turning down the volume, right? If I'm loud and very gregarious, I'm probably going to put off an academic who's researched and focused. And similar, if you're in a packaging industry and someone's just a straight shooter and you come in and you're like, how was your weekend? They're not going to like that. So you need to be able to hone in on that quickly. And I would look for that if I were a business owner. Does this person have self-awareness? Am I getting in my own way of who I'm looking for to hire? And how could this person succeed with the person who is the decision maker of the client base that we're going after?
Oh, so good. Yeah. So, we look at, DISC personality profiling, and then having done NLP as well, we always look at, and like you said, it's not changing yourself, but it's just like if somebody talks slower, then it's talking slower. If somebody's faster, you talk faster, mirroring. And it's not to trick them into that. It's just showing respect for the way that they communicate.
Yeah.
So that self-awareness is so important. And I know for myself, one of the reasons I knew it was time for me to get out of sales was because I was so busy and I was going into sales calls, and I'm a D personality type. I'm literally like, are we going to do this thing?
Yeah.
Whereas people, they need to build that rapport, they need to do it. So for me, it was like, I knew bringing on somebody like Jo, who's different to me. She's a lot calmer, takes the time. She's not rushing. She's not rushing from consultancy to travel to appointments. She can spend the time actually having those conversations and talk to them as well. But myself as a business owner, I had to learn to respect her process, and her process is different to mine.
Yeah.
She takes time.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for that, because she still like closes the right clients for us. And I'm actually grateful that I'm like, you should have closed that person in 2 calls. And she's like, more like 3 or 4. And that's okay. You know, the client's happy, she's happy. And I'm just like, Jo, I trust you.
Yeah. I'll tell you a story about a behind the scenes. This is when I was selling. And it's something that business owners could observe to see if their salespeople are doing this. So when you're trying to figure out, is this person going to succeed in this industry, you want to watch them with your clients. So back in selling academia and going to universities, you would work really hard to get a meeting with the provost or the vice chancellor of education. And in that meeting, you only had a certain amount of time. And sometimes I needed to bring experts, our publishing expert, our tech expert, our digital platform expert. And when I would bring these guests, they usually allocated time for the meeting, and there were multiple stakeholders. You'd have the data cybersecurity, privacy person, you'd have the learning person, you'd have the student representative, all these groups of people. And when I would go into the meeting, I would always ask for access to the boardroom early, because I wanted to see what it felt like. I didn't want to be caught off guard. I wanted to set up the room in a way that made sense for collaboration as opposed to exchange and negotiation. And so I would minimize the chairs always to exactly how many people were there, so the room never felt empty. And I would put my binder opposite of my colleagues so that we were already mixing and matching next to each other. It wasn't like someone was going to whisper, and be like, "Oh, this is so annoying. I can't believe we're here," And my colleagues would often ask, why are we putting ourselves in this way? This seems very contrived. But in my mind, I thought, I'm building the greatest level of comfort for everyone in the room. There's water, the tech works, and when we get here, everyone's on. And we're going to focus on that, and we're going to achieve the outcome. And if you notice that you have a salesperson who's looking at their pipeline like it's their business, they're going to do well. They're going to care about the way they show up. They're going to care about your clients because they want whatever that bonus or compensation is for them. But they're looking at it like, I'm here and this is my reputation outside of whatever I'm currently selling. And I value the way I'm putting myself forward. And I think so often we ignore these small things. People just show up for a meeting. People just accept whatever's placed there. And they're like, oh, but they can always close or they can always do this. And I would just say that people are who they are all the time. They can hide it for a little while. But when we pick up these tiny examples of behavior, you can generally extrapolate that to how it's going to be moving forward. Prepared, respected, cares about getting the work done, cares how they show up, cares how they represent the company. And they're going to treat your clients and your pipeline like that.
Oh, it's so good. I mean, so for me, for example, I've got Jo, she's in South Africa. So she starts work at 5 a.m. in South Africa. So I interviewed her at 5 a.m. Beautifully dressed, makeup. She looks like a model. I'm like, you're putting the rest of us to shame, Jo. Like, she just looks amazing. And she's like that every morning at 5 a.m. She's like that. She's awake. She's receptive to the clients, and it's just epic. It's just awesome. So
can I say one thing about women that I find really interesting? Because we've now touched on it a couple of times with just how we show up and our looks, that we're not going to get around fact or perception that people who present themselves well do well. And also, there's this overswing of the pendulum in my mind where women have to be sexy or presented in a way that is so glamorous or put together, and they'll be able to sell. And I'm not saying that that's not relevant for some industries, that the looks will get you in, but we worked with these beautiful young Gen Zs last year, and they're in insurance. Insurance is not a fun, sexy sell. It's Nobody wants to answer the phone to talk to an insurance broker. And so this company hired these two beautiful women. And when we were talking in the training, I wanted to make sure that they knew the content, that they could answer the questions, and that in the relevant circumstances, they could tone down the beauty card, because it might get you in the door. It does matter that you feel comfortable in the way you're presenting yourself, but salespeople don't have to look a certain way, and we don't have to be so polished and put together, because that also rubs people the wrong way. And I think it's understated to be a woman and say comfortably and confidently, when you know your stuff, when you have a calm and a confidence about it, and you know that you know more about this deck of cards because nobody cares about that deck of cards, but you've mastered it, you don't have to get the filler, have the thing, do the nails. You're going to come across capable and confident and competent.
Oh, I am going to give a shout out to my daughter, Hannah, because she's 18 years old and she's learning sales.
Oh.
She was doing a gap year, got bored, got an opportunity, and now she's doing sales and she's learning the thing. She loves, though, to wear the nice outfits and do herself up much more than me. So shout out to my daughter, Hannah. Love you. No, it's so true. I think intellect wins all the time, right? So let's talk about, how do you get the best out of your sales team? So for myself personally, I knew that when I brought on a salesperson, I knew the commitment that would be involved in it, right? Because I do it for marketing, so I knew it would be the same. So I committed for 3 months that I would be able to spend, 4 to 5 hours a week with the salesperson, building the systems, listening in on the recordings, having them come and do my recordings with me. We use training trackers, so allocating training tasks to them. And I committed that for 3 months. I knew if I'm doing this, this is what I need to do. But a lot of people think, we'll just hire the salesperson and we just like a marketing person, we'll just hire them.
Yeah.
We won't see them again and they'll just perform, right?
Yeah.
So how do we get the best out of sales teams?
Well, I would start with, people do hire salespeople and there is no certification. There's no certification for being a good salesperson. We vet them. Every company would vet them with, what's your work history? Do you know your numbers? What did you find difficult? There's all these questions that can help identify if they will be successful. But because there's no training certification that will say, we can 100% certify that this person knows this tech platform, like a coder, here's, this system, and they definitely have the certification to know it. You cannot underestimate the opportunity for professional development. If I were starting any company and thinking about supporting my salesperson, I would just go in with less expectations that I've hired this BDM from our we've heard people who've worked in a company, gone to the competition, right? Scoped out that best salesperson, and then they go, yep, well, they've done labels and printing labels for so long, we're going to put them into this company and they will be, therefore equals success. We've got them from a competitor, therefore this will equal success. No, they have to learn so much about your client, your product, your tech, your unique offer to the companies. And so we throw them in and we go, okay, we'll call them. Call all the leads. The way I would say you want to support your sales team is assume that they would love more training. And if they go at that as, I already know it all, I've been successful, I have nothing to learn or gain, I would say that's going to be a flag.
Yeah,
that's going to be a problem.
100%. Yeah, willingness to learn.
Yeah.
When I'm hiring for marketing and for sales, 100% willingness to learn.
Yeah, so you could try that in a way that says, bring someone on, let them go for 3 months where you're teaching them all about your company, the inner workings, the process, everything. After 3 months, if you feel like they're learning, they're absorbing, they're asking great questions, they have a hold on the industry, they're comfortable talking to clients, I would think about investing in their professional development right around 3 months within that first year and see how much better it gets. Everybody gets better with coaching. Sport, swimming. I mean, I'll tell you a funny example. So I've been swimming my whole life. And since I moved to Australia 12 years ago, I started ocean swimming, something I would never do in California. It's way too cold. I can't see the bottom, and I'll definitely die from a shark attack. And so I found a group here, the saltwater swimmers on the Gold Coast. Hey. And the saltwater swimmers swim in a group, and they have coaches. And here I am doing my swim. I've taught swim team. I've been a coach, everything. And this coach goes, you're doing the 80s pull, the 80s S. I was like, what is the 80s S? And he says, your stroke goes to the side like when we taught kids in the 80s. And what I want you to do is go down and then swim over the barrel. My stroke got so much stronger. And I haven't had any coach say anything about my stroke in decades. But this one tiny refinement meant that I could then take it to the next level. And I don't want to be so arrogant to say, like, I don't do the Olympics. I'm not a triathlete. I just enjoy swimming. So getting that feedback is so underestimated, and everybody can increase that 1% is by far the number one way to support people. Ask them if they want some more professional development.
Well, this is it, right? So if you're a business owner and you're not investing in your skills of your team, whether or not it's marketing or sales, you're seriously doing them a disservice. If you are thinking that just because you're paying them money and you've hired them that they should be 100% proficient in that activity and that they don't need to learn anything, I'm sorry. You got to swipe left for me. So it's like, it happens all the time. They're like, I got a VA, I paid them, they must know everything. I'm like, are you insane?
Yeah.
I do a skills analysis and I look at where the deficit is, and then we just, as long as they've got the basic level skills and experience and they've got the attributes and the willingness to learn, go fill the gaps.
Yeah.
If they need more support, like, for us it was like closing, need more support in closing, in CRM management, whatever that is, just go and get some help with that, for goodness sake, rather than hire, fire, rehire cycle. And it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Drives me nuts.
The other thing I would say in terms of supporting your team, like if you were thinking a new person onboarding, any new person on your team, you cannot underestimate people's lack of familiarity with their own finances. I have had more calls from women. I'll just say women because I love helping women who are selling and women who are in business. And also we support everybody. But this woman calls me and she's been in the role for 6 months. And she says, I don't know, things are going well. I'm sorry. She's been in the role for a year. Okay, so she's well past probation. She's happy. She's going to stay. But she calls and she says, I'm just not feeling great about this job. And I said, really? You went in guns blazing. You were so excited. You know the industry. What's going on? And she goes, oh, I thought I would be earning more. So I said, well, let's talk about your commission. Send me the contract. Let's look at the contract. So we review her contract and we dissect the industry she's selling in, and then what comes out of that, how much of the deal. And then she's got 3 different industries to sell to. And I said, well, all your sales are coming over here, and your biggest incentive is over here. So you're not performing in a way that you're earning the most money that you can. The company, by default, is saying, we want sales over here. This is your biggest incentive. And I said, why are you selling over here? And she goes, I don't know. It's easy. And I get these quick wins. I feel happy. I feel successful. And I'm like, you feel successful short term, but you are not earning the money that you wanted. I said, have you asked the company any questions about the incentive or clarifying where the commissions are coming from? And she goes, no. And now I feel like it's been too long that if I ask, I'm going to look like unprepared and unprofessional. And I said, you're probably right. Because if you don't ask questions about your commission and your compensation and the bonuses early on, every time in the first year that you get a job, that you win a deal and you're new to sales and you don't understand, the company's operating on the idea that they like it, they're excited by it, they're going to perform for it, and this is totally doable. They didn't have any questions. So that misalignment, you can imagine played out, leads your salesperson to go, I'm not excited, I'm not earning, this is yucky, I'm going to look for other jobs on the idea that I'll make more, when really you're 1 year into a great pipeline and all you got to do is turn a little bit and you could be smashing it. But as the business owner, my advice would be over check in. So,
yeah, they should have. Yeah, 100%. I would have said that too. I would have said they should have been checking it.
Yeah.
Why? Like they should have been saying if that the highest commission's there, then they should have. That's obviously where they want sales. So,
Yeah. So
100%.
if you don't, but the business owner goes, well, I don't want to tell them how to suck eggs.
Yeah.
But as the business owner, you go, hey, great job. You won your first deal. I'm so excited. Here's what it would look like at the end of the year. If you had 100 of those deals, which is your target, gets you to the million or whatever you're supposed to earn. And this is the percentage of commission. And just give them the grace like, hey, I already know you probably know this. I just want you to know how our compensation works. And oh, by the way, it gets paid quarterly or twice a year or annually. And then they have so much more opportunity to ask questions back and go, oh, I thought I was going to earn 10% on the total sale. No, actually you earn 10% on the profit and this is our profit margin and blah, 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 blah. So I thought I earn every time I write a proposal. No, you earn once we get the invoice, once the invoice is paid. All those metrics a salesperson wants to know, but may not want to ask. And as the business owner, if they don't know and you assume they know, they could get disillusioned and leave.
Oh, I love my check-ins. Checking in for me, maybe it's my sense of control. I love control without micromanagement. Like I love to just know what's going on, and I always have that.
Yeah.
And it's even checking in, for example, with mindset. Like what is your mindset around that? Like we had an epic conversation the one time with my team, and it was like, how is, because my team is multicultural, right? Yeah. And because I'm from South Africa, I acknowledge that there's different mindset that comes from a South African to an Australian. And it's around having that conversation about the money. And it's like, how does that money feel for you? And when you have those open conversations, I was like, how's that affecting the way that you actually deal with customers? And they're like, oh, actually, like I'm scared to talk about that, or I'm nervous to talk about that because it feels like a lot of money, you know? And I'm like, whoa. But did you know that by them doing that, they can actually do like a $23,000 email campaign?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we didn't even think about that, you know?
Yeah.
So that like pays for our service with you.
Yeah.
One email campaign is like the service that we provide.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, okay. So it's about having those conversations. But I must say, I love having those conversations.
Most people don't. Most people are like, well, they did it. Yay, we'll celebrate them. But and you want to have that anytime something changes. So another woman called me and she goes, I am so angry. And I was like, what? She goes, this was going to be the best year of my sales career. Our competitor went under. I was tasked with all the new business development. Was the time spent for new business development was to be reallocated going after competitors, our competitors' clients, because the competitor just said, we're out of Australia, we're done. So all these clients like and trust that service. And now her role became negotiate, which can be arguably harder because you have clients with a preconceived idea of what they're going to get and all those expectations, and then different with your company. So you still have to hunt, you still have to build relationships, you still have to negotiate, you still have to close. And she got it. She mopped up business, only to find out at the end of the year, there was not a commission like her original commission on all the new business brought in, because the company decided it doesn't count as new business because they already use our product or service from someone else.
Ooh.
So she ended up getting a bonus. Now, I empathize with her because a company has the right, they leave ambiguities in contracts on purpose, which makes sense. And you have to look after your company. And in this instance, there are two pieces of ownership on that. The salesperson should feel comfortable going to management and saying, great, I understand there's a redirect. Can I confirm in writing that my commission is going to maintain the same, and or how does it change? And the company also should have put something in writing that says, we understand you're going to change and pivot here. This is how the commissions change based on this new direction. And then you don't wind up at the end of the year, the company mopped up all the money and she's out. She's gone. Now they don't care. They got the business. It's fine. She cares. And she's never going to refer their business to anybody else again. But I would say the company has an opportunity to maintain a resource that was very profitable for them by simply having this conversation about, every time something changes, let me help my salesperson know what's in it for them. This is going to benefit the company. We're going to benefit you. or the bonus is uncapped because who cares? We're going to make a ton of money.
Yeah, so good. I think that relationship between the business owner, there has to be that relationship between them. As I said, I love that relationship, so I have no issue with that. But I think as well, what I've seen is a lot of the time people will whip salespeople. So I just want more sales. I just want more sales. I just want more sales, but not actually doing anything like upskilling them or supporting them in a way that does it. And then that affects the way that the salesperson actually then sells.
Yes.
Because now they've got this external pressure of I've got to sell, I've got to sell. So now they're not respecting the process. They're not respecting the person that they're speaking to. They're not focused on selling in the way that they can sell authentically, but rather I just need to get sales, which can affect their whole energy and everything else. So for me, I tested my salesperson. So after we did like the 3 months of training, I got I think, what do you call it? A phantom shopper? Is that what you call it?
Okay. Yeah. Like a hidden customer review person.
Yeah. So my first person I was like was my best friend Rachel. Hey Rachel, and Rachel is like, sorry, she's an Aries. Rachel's fiery, right? I was going to use another word. Thank God I didn't. But she can be quite like a hard taskmaster. And I said to Rachel, right, can I, get Joe to give you a call and that? She's like, sure. So I said, I need you to go over all the products, question her, check for relevancy because Rachel knows everything about my business. And she did the call and I was like, afterwards I was like, Rachel, how was she? And she went, oh my gosh, she was lovely. She was friendly. She was personable. She took time with me. She went over everything. And I went, this is great. And now I thought, now I've got to go to Joe and I've got to say to Joe that actually that wasn't a lead. That was like a test. And I thought, this is actually also going to show me something about her character. And Joe was like, oh, thank you so much for the opportunity for me to have that experience. And I was like, this is a team player. Like this is because it could have gone the other way, right?
Well, and I think what you're reminding me of is the central theme of clarity is kindness. I don't think it should be out of the question that we're checking on the productivity of salespeople. And arguably, when I've been on teams and you are performing and there are people who are underperforming, it demotivates you and it makes it that you lose respect for the business owner because they're not holding the team accountable for better results. Now, I do think clarity is kindness in the idea of the expectations being put forward. Hey, look, once a quarter, we slip in a phantom client so that we can objectively assess how we're doing in terms of our delivery and our sales methodology. I think that's totally reasonable. I think it could backfire with the wrong person if they feel like they're micromanaged or checked in.
Yeah.
Even though we record everything now, even though it's on, whatever system of AI and note takers, all of that just exists. We should assume that we're probably being recorded all the time. But it does help people know ahead of time, oh, hey, this quarter you were selected and this was the call, and go over with it privately. Because some people who will feel shame and criticism and judgment will be like, they'll never come back,
No, so for us, we record everything. So we use OBM Hub, which is like a high-level product. So it actually records all the calls. We've also got the transcript as well, which we can put through AI as well, which is epic. So it really does help us to evaluate where they're at. They listen back on their calls as well. I listen in with them as well. And I also have to accept the fact it's never going to be in the way that I would do it, but it's definitely got to be in a way that works. So that was one of the biggest things for me. So well, thank you so much for joining us today. It has been so good. We certainly have gone behind the scenes with sales today, and I'm glad we got to pop your cherry on the podcast as well.
I think you just love saying that.
Of course I do. And I'm so glad that we were able to share your story as well with your dad. So that's so good. If you would like to connect with Sarah, how can people connect with you?
Well, we're all over the internet on our website, Sales and Leadership Performance. And my husband and I are both on LinkedIn. And every Wednesday we do a LinkedIn Live where we answer questions from business owners about anything that needs to be helped with sales.
Oh, they are short. They are juicy. I've been checking and they really are cool. So definitely have a look at that. This has been another episode of the Meaningful Marketing Podcast. Thank you, Sarah, so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you.